Crash and burn.
Hey everybody, so tonight I am just wondering, do you think that maybe something like the Ludovico technique is a good idea? Or do you think something like the Ludovico technique is a really bad idea? Should we force morality on people through, some type of emotional, chemical castration of sorts? Because, well, I guess I'm thinking about this in a really modern sense. I'm thinking about like Canada in 2024 and how it's suddenly the car theft capital of the world. And I know that that's because of the Liberals and Trudeau and that, but that won't last forever. Just like crime in Canada has gone up 100%. Gun crime especially has doubled since Trudeau took over because he has these really soft approach to crime. It's this catch and release thing. Short of maybe murder, if you shoot somebody in Canada, you stab somebody in Canada, you'll pretty much be released on the spot and given a court date. Car thieves are routinely sentenced to house arrest, which they break and then go out and steal more cars. So we need to increase prison sentences, not house arrest sentences. It's ridiculous. But like I said, those things are so temporary. So it's hard for me to I don't know. On one hand, I could argue that the Ludovico technique is completely inhumane. But then on the flip side of that coin, some people you're just not going to reach, especially with people who've been diagnosed with having a number of sexual paraphilias. They're sexual sadists. They find it pleasurable, sexually speaking, to inflict pain on people. Those people, maybe something like the Ludovico technique, had it not worn off, assuming that it doesn't wear off, that is, that it doesn't wear off like it does with Alex at the end of the book / movie. Maybe with them, because then, they wouldn't be such a burden on the system and the taxpayers as far as us having to constantly keep them locked up for the rest of their lives. Because even Canada, countries like Canada, that when it comes to crime, we don't really have the strongest spine. Because, for example, a little while ago, the Canadian government decreed that it was unjust and unlawful to keep somebody incarcerated for longer than 25 years without, at the very least, giving them an attempt at achieving parole. And which is an absolutely horrible idea because people like Paul Bernardo then can come up for parole. Now, Bernardo will most likely never be released because he is one of those sexual sadist scumbags that needs to be, locked up and have somebody throw away the key for the rest of his life. But nevertheless, I think it's incredibly insulting for the victim's families, to hear that this piece of shit that raped and killed their daughter is technically up for parole. Everybody knows he's not going to get it, but nevertheless, having to hear that would just be so gut-wrenching. So, but then, like what I was saying, I almost lost my train of thought, was even in countries like Canada, where we do sort of have that soft approach to crime, when it comes to people who have been diagnosed with having a number of sexual paraphilias and they've committed violent sexual crimes, we keep them incarcerated for the rest of their lives as well. We'll lock them up and throw away the key. So in that sense, that maybe if there was a fully functioning and fully effective Ludovico technique, maybe you could administer it to those people and then let them go, because even if they see somebody get slapped 5 miles down the street, they feel like they're going to throw up. And so it'll definitely keep them from sexually destroying somebody. So in that sense, I think the Ludovico technique is a wonderful idea, but I think it should only probably be reserved for the worst of the worst. People like Alex DeLarge, not necessarily the habitual car thief. I don't know if instilling a forced sense of moral right and wrong in them is really going to be the best thing to do for that person. But personally, but overall, I think yes. Just for me, I think the Ludovico technique is a wonderful idea as long as it doesn't wear off. And of course, as long as we don't abuse the power and we only administer it to people that deserve it. Again, sexual sadists and such. What do you guys think? Do you think the Ludovico technique is a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Do you think it's sort of a good idea? I don't know. I think it's a great idea, depending. But yeah, that's it. I'm getting out of here. You guys are amazing. Have a good night.